Hey everybody, Matt Bailey here for the Music Universe. Very special guest today. You know him, you love him. He's got a new project that I'm excited to talk about, and of course, a special anniversary with a big hit. It's Darryl Worley. How are you, sir? Welcome to the Music
Man,
Universe.
I am doing good. Thank you. And thanks for having us on.
Well, thank you for being with us. So let's jump into it. These tiny homes, this new community. Talk about it and tell me how you decided to name the luxury tiny home resort after your hit Awful Beautiful Life.
Honestly, I'll mention this guy. Ronnie Gilly called me. He's a very close friend of mine. We've been doing stuff together kind of in the real estate realm for 25 years. And a lot of it around Enterprise, Alabama, which is where he resides. And that whole awful beautiful life thing was his idea. But I gotta say, you know, when he came up with the idea of using that song, and I saw it on I don't know if you've seen the logo
Yeah, it's
with the
really
big
cool.
signage. I
Hmm.
saw that and I went, okay, I'm gonna have a hard time arguing with that. And so that song, the whole awful beautiful life thing, to me, it was just a song about real life, and this it kind of set a little bit of a precedence with this development because Ronnie had us come down, look at all of his renderings and the vision of this project. And I've done a ton of stuff with him, but I don't think anybody else is doing this. And it's very unique. I went back home with my wife and I said, we'd be absolutely nuts not to get in on the ground floor of this because it's just a unique product type. The first phase has 75 homes in it. It is, if you saw the landscaping and the amenities, it's insane. His thing to me was we're going to show people that it makes sense to downsize while living large.
I love that. And
And
this,
and I mean, it is true. There's freedom in getting rid of a lot of this junk. And I told my wife, I said the dust is working on my allergies. So, um, I mean, I can answer any questions you have, or I could roll on for 45 minutes without taking a breath about all this stuff. So,
well, it's so exciting. What I was watching today, what I was finding out about this is it serves the military community in the area where it is, and it's actually you talk about a beautiful life having all these facets to it. This is a community that's been needed because there's been a shortage of military housing in the area.
yes,
Correct? Talk about
very much so.
yeah.
We don't, and if I said we came up with this because of the military, that wouldn't be accurate because this location and enterprise, and I won't get too deep into this because I could talk about that for an hour, but where we're located, hour and 15, 20 minutes from the coast. There's a huge corridor, like 75 miles. Everybody driving to the panhandle of Florida goes right. As a matter of fact, they go within 75 yards of this new development.
Hmm.
And so they're driving right by us. The demographics work. There's uh, 20 million people go there a year, and about 14 or 15 of them are 15 million of them are driving. So without even if you took the military out, but to your point, um, it has been with the previous administration that when we got where we were at the end of that, the interest rates and the price of construction, the price of housing was almost you just couldn't afford to do it. I mean, I we were thinking about doing some stuff, and I said not right now. And so Ronnie had his thinking cap on when he came up with this idea. Listen to this. You can buy these first 75. Now they're not going to always be at this price, but he told me, he said, when you do these interviews, call it the Darryl Worley discount, but we'll sell them in this first phase for $89,000. And we're sitting at dinner last night. You can't buy a high-end camper for that anymore.
No,
So yeah. And
no,
and,
and
and the only other option is like you can, if you pay 99,000, for $10,000 we'll completely uh, pimp it out, if you will. I mean, we'll put everything you can imagine in there, and it'll be that's electronics, your silverware, linens, towels, that the decor in all the different rooms. We'll do it all, and it's pretty special. There's four different decor packages you can pick from, and I've seen one unfinished and one finished, and I promise you, you can't do it for $10,000. So.
I love that. That's got to be the name of the reality show you should do like Garth did with his bar and do a reality show following the building of this. Darryl Worley's Pimp My Crib. There you go.
I got to write that down. Write down Pimp My Crib.
That's
I
great.
love
I
it.
love it. Now, I really think I love it when artists give back in this way and not only to expand their brand, but like we said with the military. Now, I'm curious how much of this community, for our fans listening who may want to just go and have a nice weekend in a beautiful part of Florida, how much of this is going to be the resort sort of side of it that might be short-term stay versus how many of the units are going to be that you can buy and live in full time?
To tell you the truth, we don't have any control over that.
Okay.
Like we would sell every unit to a buyer today,
Hmm.
and here's what the options would be. You can buy that unit and immediately put it in our management program, and you can go back to wherever you live, and you'll never have to send us a check. And here's how that works: we'll keep that luxury tiny home villa leased out, rented out, just like a hotel room for you until you decide to do something different. And so how that works is you'll and it's this is based on a market average, and this is not a market average product. This is going to be as high end as anything in that marketplace, if not higher, with five-star amenities. I'll list those amenities in a minute. But if you do this on the management deal, we're going to take care of everything for you. You'll pay $750 a month for the lot fee, we call it. That's whoever stays in your villa. That's the garbage, the water, the utilities, the all that stuff. Plus a continental breakfast every morning for free, and a list of amenities, like I said, that goes on and on. So your access to all that, and then we also charge a 7% management fee on top of that, out of your gross revenue. Whatever's left of that, we write you a check and send it to you. Okay, and we did the numbers, and this is the bizarre thing: is like we're doing the absolute low end. After you have paid all that stuff, we're going to send you a check for 14 or $1,500 a month that you can put in your pocket. That's cash
Yeah.
flowed after you've paid your payment on the unit.
Yeah.
We've done all those numbers, and this is the absolute low end of that. I'm not even going to say what the high end is because it's so bizarre you wouldn't believe it. But I'm good with the low end. I look at it and I think when we did those numbers, and I know how these homes are built, they're engineered and built to last. Uh, he stumbled onto something with this. I'm telling you right now, and there's nothing else out there like it. So the other two options are you can buy the home and live in it permanently. You could be right there on site, living in the resort,
Yeah.
enjoying all those amenities permanently, or um, let's see, there's three different options: owner occupant, do the investment thing, or or just come. I'm sorry, or just come in there for short term lodging like you would a hotel,
Yeah.
and the price for the night will be less than the high end hotel there in town. There's only one, and it goes for about 200 and something dollars a night, and the prices here will be less than that. They'll be more probably closer to the market average.
That is incredible, and I hope the people that want to do any of those options, I hope it reaches the audience it's intended to, especially as we were talking about with the military, but anybody that wants to do it, wants to live there, wants to do the investment thing, I think that's very, very interesting, very cool. I think having it named after an artist just fits your involvement. Sounds, I can hear how excited you are about it. I want to shift gears and
Yeah,
talk about
man.
another exciting thing, an anniversary, the anniversary of Have You Forgotten? I want to talk about the song, but I'm kind of an inside baseball guy who loves everything about music. Before we get to the song and the content of the song and the anniversary and what it means, one of the things that fans may not know, because that song has taken on such a life of its own, is that song was first released on an album that was a compilation album,
Correct.
correct?
That's
Talk
correct.
about the decision to throw that down as a new track on a compilation album for you and the decision to kind of stick that in there all those years ago.
Well, what had happened is that we had just released an album that was really doing incredible. It was my project called "I Miss My Friend," and the
Hmm.
first single off that that record went number one. "I Miss My Friend" went number one, and then we had a single out called "Family Tree" that was doing incredible, which I still have a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. That people want to know why I hated Bin Laden so bad. That was one of the reasons because he not only killed 3,000 people, but it was one of those things where I thought everything in my life is disrupted because of this crazy mess. And but anyway, so fast forward a little ways, I wasn't one of the guys that wrote this song immediately. Uh, I have to stew on it for a little while, if you will.
Hmm.
And then I got invited by the military to go over to Afghanistan and do this first journey to the war zone, entertain the troops, and it was life changing. I could say
Sure.
a thousand things about it, but it was life changing. I grew up in a military family. And you sit around and listen to all these stories and you think, oh, I know all about it. Man, you don't know until you go over there. I'm just telling you, it's it's very surreal. I guess I
Hmm.
could say it like that. So coming home off that journey and all the stuff that we experienced, I sat down with Win Varble, who's not just a great co-writer, but he's one of my best friends, and he and I were just going back and forth about all of our. It just really our conversation was about how quickly the American people, it seemed like, and I mean even a lot of people that I was around, were like, "What are we doing?" Uh, and it was like we had forgotten all the things that had happened in a short year and a half or whatever. It probably wasn't even that long. And he actually said that. He said I was talking to this guy yesterday outside of some store, and he said I've known him for a little while, but he said something about the military action in Afghanistan, and Wynn said I wanted to grab him around the throat and just shake him and say, "Have you forgotten?" And I was sitting in a recliner, and I sat straight up in the chair, and I said, "I didn't really ask you to come here today to write a song. I just want to bounce some of this trip off of you and tell you how it affected me." But I said, "That needs to be written." I said that.
Hmm.
He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Have you forgotten?" I said, "We should pose that question to the world." And that's exactly how that song came about. And the truth is, we just played it at the Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman. They had it at the
Yep.
Ryman. It was a special weekend to celebrate veterans. And when we got out there, I literally had written the song 2 days before. I didn't even really know it good. And I said to my manager, I said, when I figured out what was going on there, I said, we should do this weekend. And so we were there on a Friday night, and the veterans were all there, and we played the song, and the place came unglued. And Pete Fisher, who ran the Opry at the time, chased me down as I was leaving the stage and said, "Will you come back tomorrow night on the TV portion and play that song?" I'd never been asked to play the Grand Ole Opry 2 nights in a row, so I said, "Well, heck yeah." And we did go back and play it, and that's when the explosion took place. And so, to your point, to your question, the song, it went out there and killed. Family Tree went away. Now this recorded version from the Opry archives is what my new single is on the radio,
Hmm.
and um, not to mention the fact that I Miss My Friend was a reasonably new project that was out there for the public to buy, and I'm going, we're going to have to record the song and figure out how to recreate a an album for it to exist on. And so we took a and like you said, we made a compilation. I think there were some songs on there maybe from the first album, and then some songs that we didn't want to lose that were on I Miss My Friend, and then maybe three or four brand new things. It had maybe 15 songs on it.
Hmm.
And so that's how the Have You Forgotten project came about, and that's it definitely is a compilation.
Kind of went viral before the
Yeah.
internet knew what viral
Oh,
was, and you had to do it in a way that wasn't competing against yourself because you had new music already out. See, that's fascinating to know everything happening in the background of this hit, you know? That's
listen to this, and this is stuff that I certainly couldn't talk about back then, and probably shouldn't be talking about now either. But so we came up at DreamWorks Nashville. We came up with the idea that we're going to do an 8 song EP and put it out at a very discounted rate so that all military could afford the project with no issues at all. And then the song went to #1 in 5 weeks and stayed there for 7 weeks in a row. LA got involved because that's who owned DreamWorks. And they said, no, you're not doing that either. And I said, wait a second. I've already gone out and told how many million people that this is what we're going to do. And I mean, I literally thought about going to battle with them. And my manager looked at me and said, you can't go back to battle with them.
Mhm.
They're going to do what they want to do with this project, no matter what you think, because they can. And he said, "You'll spend every dime you're going to make in the court trying to." He said, "Just let it go." And I thought it really made me feel terrible because I had gone out and said, "This is something that we're doing for the military," because they inspired this whole thing.
Mhm.
And but you can't fight the big machine, so we let it go and did what we had to do. And the compilation came out, sold, I don't know who, it sold way over 1 million pretty fast, and it's all good. It turned out to be a pretty good thing.
I love it. And this is that anniversary. And I want to preface this question by explaining a little bit about me. So give me a minute here,
Yeah,
because
man.
this is going to be a bit of an odd question, but this is how my brain thinks. I was reading about the song this morning, and there's a very detailed Wikipedia article about everything that went through when that song was released and all the media reaction. And you experienced what a lot of people I was a film major in college, and we studied a lot of academic things, analysis of film, and the director meant
Sure.
this, and the actor did this, and he was wearing this color tie because it means this. And you experience what a lot of directors in film experience, which is there's a world of people who think they know better than everybody else telling you what your song means
Right.
and what your intention behind
Right.
your song was. And that happens in movies quite a lot, Daryl.
Oh yeah.
So reading this, I'm thinking, okay, I got to ask you this. Everybody's saying it means this. It means he's comparing Iraq to Afghanistan and making links between Hussein and bin Laden
Absolutely.
and all that. I know you didn't go into it. I mean, you just told us writing it with any sort of, big academic political desire. How have you absorbed everybody trying to tell you what your song means to you? Is supposed to mean.
I'll tell you a short story that we don't have to linger on it, but it's a media person who's very, very well known.
Sure.
That can't. I actually did the interview from the Opry, the Ryman stage, and it was via satellite. It was the first time I'd ever done a live interview via satellite, so I didn't. They told me there's going to be a huge delay, so don't like let that throw you off. Well, it was like 3 seconds, and that does throw you off. But with this guy, he came on and he was just ripping me a new one, man. I mean, he was tearing me up over this song. And, I went into the interview thinking, who could say something bad about this,
Yeah.
Well, I learned a great lesson on that very first one. But I just looked at him and I said, man, I said, the next time you have an opportunity like this, I said, don't let your intern listen to this song and tell you what he thinks it's about. I said, because if you're the one that made this interpretation of this song, I said, right now you're looking kind of stupid. Because I said, we wrote this song so a third grader could understand it, and it means just exactly what it says and nothing else. And I said, it's just written to say how thankful and how we should all be very grateful to those who have died in the line of duty, to the people that don't forget about the people we lost on 9/11.
Mhm.
It goes all the way back to the beginning of our nation. And I said, there's none of that contrived stuff that you're talking about in this song. And I said,
Sure.
so quit reading into our very simple lyric stuff like that. I said, neither one of us, they called me a war hawk. I said, man, I said, my family's all military. Why in the world would I want them to be involved in a conflict?
It's something I became very familiar with in college, which is a work of art getting so far out from under the artist that you just
You,
it's just lampoonable. It is
you're the first,
hysterical.
you're the first person that's ever talked to me about that, and I so appreciate it. I got chills thinking about it because just in the interview previous to yours, the lady said to me, she said, I saw you in situations where I knew you were uncomfortable,
Yeah,
and you totally did because I'm not a I'm not a real political guy. I mean, I know what I believe in and I know what I stand for, and I'm happy to reiterate that as many times as I have to. I don't spend all my time on political analytics. I don't have time. I mean,
yeah,
I can see where I see the trend and I see what's happening with things, and I stay somewhat, but that's not what I want to spend my time on. And so
sure.
I got thrown into that whether I liked it or not.
No. Well, now you're getting thrown into something with these tiny homes that you definitely like, and I love it. And hopefully, if everything goes well, and I can imagine with the tiny homes, it's not too laborious, so it's not as ambitious of a target as it seems to be ready by fall of 26. But we'll be watching, and I know there'll probably be a grand opening, and you'll be there, and maybe we'll see you there. You're on the road, so let's wrap up with that. Where can folks see you this year coming up?
Man, it's all over my web page. You can go there and check out the schedule, and it's there's probably some of that stuff also on my socials. We're doing a couple things. We're about we resurfaced an old project because it looks like, I call it traditional country, they call it 90s country. It looks like it's really starting to spark up and come back, so we resurfaced the record Here and Now, and we're also resurfacing later this year. I'm so sorry, Sounds Like Life, which is also the name of my podcast, Sounds Like Life with Darryl Worley. That record will also be resurfaced. And then we have a brand new album that's finished already with new music. And before the end of the year, we're going to try to complete a Christian, a gospel spiritual album that I've been working on forever. And the tour never stops. It's 24/7. We're 365, always on the road. So you can catch me all over the place. So just look at the schedule for that.
Wonderful. Darryl, thank you so much. More this year, it sounds like. I hope we'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you so much.
This was wonderful, man. Thank you.